Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of In the Studio with Rob. Once again, I'm Rob, and I have on line with me, I have my sidekick, my ace boom coon, my young
Hi,
buck,
people.
my my young buck. Izzy is on the line.
Isle is here. Isle is here. What's up?
So, as we told you in the last episode, this week we want to talk a little bit about that parent-child relationship. And we're talking about when we go from adolescent into adulthood, but yet you're still at home and parents, or maybe you have left, but in most cases, you're still at home and your parent has to adjust to dealing with an adult child, and you have to adjust to dealing with your parents as you're trying to come into your own person as your own adult. So, what you're going to hear from me always, this is one of the things I want to make sure you understand. I'm speaking to you the way I speak to my children. And I want you to hear this from a father's heart, a uncle's heart, however you want to look at it, someone who cares about you and want the best for you. So as you're listening to this, make sure you're thinking of how I'm saying this, and I'm speaking to you the way I speak to my children in most cases, and things I've shared with them, and things that I want to make sure that you get. And if anything I didn't share with them, or if I dropped the ball a little bit, maybe they'll hear this and it'll help us as well. So, um, so again, we're talking about that young person going from teenage years into their early adulthood and how parents deal with it. I think one
That
of the
was
things.
fun, Dad. Remember that?
Say that again.
I said that was fun to remember that.
No, yeah, it's always fun. You know, again, because it's a challenge. And speaking when you talk about boys, even more so, and when you have a father in the home, is that as a father, I'm teaching my boys to grow to be young men. And I'm instilling certain things in them, and I want them to have that, that I can do this mentality, and I'm ready to be a man mentality. But at the same time, they have to understand, no, this is my home, this ain't yours. So it is that dynamic of I don't want to break your will, but I want to make sure you know how to direct it. I use the analogy a lot of time of, in the lion pride. I love what lions and how they do things in their pride, in that when the young cubs, they cubs and they play on daddy and they wrestle with daddy and daddy smack 'em around and he teaching them how to fight, teaching, the mom or whatever, teach them how to hunt. But, they learn all these different things within the pride. And then when they get a certain age, at some point, dad kicks them out the pride and he sends them and they got to go get their own. Go get your own wife, go get your own, make your own babies, have your own pride. But he kicks them out not because he doesn't love them, but because he knows that they have a innate desire to be the king, to be in charge, to be dominant. And that's the same way I look at it with my sons, and even for most young men, and I should say all young men, if they were raised in a way to be dominant. So what happens is you almost have to, you're walking that fine line. When do I need to kick my son out of the pride or allow him to leave? And how do I do it so that we don't destroy the relationship overall? But he knows that it's time for him to go and grow. So one of the things that, and I'm going to use my youngest son as an example on this a little, because when he came back from college, he struggled, and I struggled probably more so than he did with him being back in the house and, coming and going. And, it's like, yo, you can't come in, you just walk out the door and don't say nothing, or, you come in. But he was used to doing things the way he was used to doing it when he was away at school. So now that you're back, you got rules. You still got rules. I got rules in my house. I don't care how old you are. If you're my child and you live in my house or anywhere, you got rules. So that was a struggle for him. And that was also a struggle for me, trying to make sure I navigate that in the right way and not treat him like a baby or a little kid, but also, you know, making sure that it's understood that, I'm the man of this house. This is, this house is still run by me, and you got to fall in line. Um,
So how'd you do with that? Treating them like a baby, or not treating them like a baby?
well, it wasn't easy. It was just struggle. It was a step by step process. So certain things, it was like, okay, I had to remind myself he is 21 years old. He's, technically a grown man. However, I had to remind him, you still living here for free. You still, I'm still taking care of you. So therefore, there is also a level of, you got to fall in line to what the rules are. So it was a balancing act for both of us, or learning for both of us. And I would say one of our biggest issues, where we talk a lot sports, and we talk about, different teams. He got his teams, I got my team, but more importantly, we talk about the athlete. But what I found, what made me realize I was disrespecting him in a way, was that we would talk about sports, and we had get into a debate. And I'm sure, like when he's debating with his friends and different things, they go on and on. And I'm sure he likes to win his debates. I like to win mine as well. But what I found myself doing was, after a while, I get tired of talking, like I'm like, I ain't trying to convince you. And it's like, I'm telling you, look, man, just stop talking to me. Go somewhere else. Leave me alone. I don't want to talk. Or you don't know what you're talking about. And I'm shutting them down as if he's a kid that don't know the things that he's learned over the years. It's like you've learned a lot of things, and you have your own opinion, and you have the right to express that opinion. But yet I was treating him, almost like a child that was irritating me. And so what I had to do was, once I really, it was like it happened a couple of times, but I went to him, and this is where parents, we have to do better. I went to him and I apologized. I said, listen, I'm trying to figure this thing out just like you are, but I shouldn't treat you like you're a kid and act like you don't have the right to disagree, or don't have the right to your own opinions, which are things that you've learned, and that I'm the only one right. That ain't how it should be. So I need to apologize, and I need to work on being better, at that. So I apologize, and I gave him permission. I said, listen, if you feel like I'm treating you in our conversation, I start treating you like a little boy, tell me. Say, Dad, you're doing it again. Hey, and then it's on me to regulate that. But so I put some of the onus on him, because he knows better than me when I'm making him feel young. So, but at the same time, I needed to do better, and so I had to go to him, apologize, and fix that situation. And it took some time, for us to kind of work out the kinks in it, and to be able to have grown up conversations where he could stay in that conversation, as opposed to, you know grown up conversation and kids in the corner, or wherever the case may be. Stop getting in grown folks' business, as we used to say. No, you grown too. This is your conversation, and I didn't want to belittle him and make him feel like it, because my whole thing is, I tell people all the time, I raise men. I didn't raise no chumps. I didn't raise no boys. I raised men to be able to handle and take care of their business. Part of that. So if that's who I'm raising, then I can't be upset when they act like men. Now, this is the piece that he had to understand also. When somebody else is taking care of you, there is a tier, a level that you are at. So you ain't at my level because I take care of you. However, I'm going to treat you like you're an adult, but at the same time, understand what your level is. And he had to learn that too. because it's like, yo, this is still, you don't pay for the food in here. You don't pay rent. That's not something that we chose to do with our kids, to make them pay rent and they in the house. That's the other people. That's, you do what you do want to do. But for me,
I got you. I got you. Yeah, it sounds like you two. Actually, not even sounds like. I can say from experience as a person that knows you both a little bit that you both have shown growth in that area, like just in relation to
oh yeah,
speaking to
definitely,
each other. So yeah, I can
definitely,
see that.
definitely.
All right, by the way, I'll sidetrack you. Continue. Tell
Yeah,
me more.
yeah. So another thing, and I'll speak, I'm gonna speak for my wife here a little bit. One of the things that we talked, she and I talked about that was interesting was when he went to see his girlfriend. You know, she felt some kind of way, like my baby out, he spent, going to spend time with, it's like, oh, that's a grown man going to see his girl. But and so it's an interesting dynamic when your children become adults and how you have to look at them. For me and my daughters, I don't care how old they get. I don't ever want no dude touching my daughters, even though they got kids and they married, been married, whatever the case may be. But you know, in my mind, that's my baby. Nobody should touch my baby, but my son is a little
Thanks. Don't
different.
touch my sisters.
Yeah, so but with my sons, it's a little different. But for moms, she didn't see, she just saw he shouldn't be with no girl yet. But even though he's a grown man and he making his own decisions, so that was a struggle and things that she had to grow to. But again, it's that, for our home, of course, you can't have no girl, you can't sleep with your girlfriend or do the thing in my house. You're going to go to a hotel, go to her house, whatever the case may be. But our house has rules, and our children always understood the rules. And so, even as they're adults, they understood or understand what the house rules are. So I think as parents, when you have adult children, you still have to have rules for your house. But see, the problem is you can't be making up new rules or necessarily changing rules because they got older. If you ain't never had no standards, then it's hard to input standards into your child as they become adults. And so now you asking that child to all of a sudden, I've been doing what I want when I want, even when I was 14, 15 years old. So now I'm 20 and you decide, oh, this don't feel right. You want to make some rules and standard. That's going to be a harder shift for everybody. And it's probably best, again, it's ultimately on that young person to make that shift if it's your home. But that is something I think you have to make sure that you're willing to give a more learning curve too, because they're not used to something like that. For us, our rules have always been our rules. So, and it didn't just apply to them. I wouldn't allow brother or sister or whoever to bring their girlfriend and sleep in my house with their girlfriend in the same room. If y'all ain't married, y'all can't sleep together in my house. That's just our rule. So it wasn't just my children, it was the rule. So therefore, as they got older, they understood I'm not asking them anything new so they could handle it a little bit better. But again, so you need to make sure you have some standards throughout their lifetime so that it's not a shock to the system all because mom and dad coming up with this new stuff. No, we always got this. So,
Oh, okay. So sweet. The people, the people would like you to.
hey, and I told you before, I'm a man of the people. So whatever the
And
people
as,
ask, I'm trying to answer. What the people want.
and as such, I feel it is my duty to be their microphone when they don't have one. So, man of the people, um, how do you think that would translate today? Like, your youngest is 20. What?
Four.
How old is mine?
24.
24. So he's 24. How would, let's say, a parent that's going through that little transition period that you're talking about right now, how would it translate for them? What advice would you give for them in that period?
One, I tell you, always have set some rules. Make the rules whatever they are, and make them clear and plain, so that there's no room for interpretation or misinterpretations. So if I made the rules what they are, and you're clear on the rules, then that at least gives us a firm ground to stand on, where we're facing each other, face to face, man to man, woman to woman, mom, the son to daughter, whatever the case may be. So the first thing you need are to make sure you got rules for your house, and how you expect not just your adult child, but anybody that comes in your house to conduct themselves in your house. And so if you have that, then you're good. Now, one of the mistakes I think people make also is that, again, one thing, let me go back for a second, one second. If I got rules and I got standards in my house, you got to follow my rules, or you can't stay in my house. That's not negotiable. That is, I'm not going to be disrespected by my child, especially by my child, but by anybody else in my house. So at some point, you have to make sure that the rules that you're holding your child to, that they are, something that they can hold on to. But then there are consequences if you fail, or you decide you don't want to follow those rules anymore. And
And
I think
that sounds a lot harsher than
it is.
it actually is. It more so translates to you're welcome to not stay here if you're not comfortable with following
Yeah, but
the
that's a
rules
nice
of the home.
way to say you're welcome not to stay here. But I'm going to
Right.
say
No, but
that
I mean, it's just more so like, yo, you don't have to be here if you don't want, but these are the rules if you choose to.
right, and so, but again, I think what I've seen, and things I've heard over you, is that a lot of parents struggle with their child not being there anymore, and it's almost like, it's almost, I'll put it this, like, people, when people talk about heaven and hell, right? God love people, but He'll send you to hell. Well, God don't send you to hell. You send yourself to hell by not doing, or not accepting Him as your Savior. However, and I feel the same way as a parent. I don't put you out my house. You put yourself out if you choose not to follow my rules. That's your choice. And I'm talking about adults. I ain't talking about kids. You don't put kids out. But I'm talking about adults, adult children, your adult children, not little kids that, your little kids that act up, whip that behind and you move on. So, but for adult children, you get to a place where it's okay. They have to make a choice, and that's, again, we all have choices in our life, and we got to make them choices. But at the same time, parents, you know, I know parents that when their child, no matter what they do, you want to be in their business. Oh, well, who you going to see? What you going? I mean, I ask my daughters where they're going, and who they're going to see when they live with me, because I'm concerned for their well-being more so than I care that you going out to hang with your girlfriends. I'm more concerned that, if something happened, I don't know how to get to you. But when you have it's like, well, I don't like them, so you shouldn't be their friend type of mentality with an adult. That's foolish to me. That on the parents' part, that ain't none of my business. Now I can tell you your friend can't come to my house because I don't like the way they act, or how they, maybe they disrespectful, or whatever the case may be. But if you want to go be with them, I'm not going to harass you for hanging out with the wrong type of people. Now we can have a conversation where I'll try to, make sure you're clear on what being with the wrong type of people can cause you, what issues they can cause you. But ultimately, that's your choice. Only that I can say is, so I'm not, I don't think parents should get into, or let's say you got a girlfriend or a boyfriend, and your mom or your dad don't like him or her. It's not my place to like them. I don't have to like them because I ain't dating them. Now, I will make sure as a father, if you're dating my daughter, you better treat my daughter right, or we're gonna have some issues, and I'll tell you certain things. And I'm sure as a mother, mothers may tell their daughters that they expect this boy to do certain things, to, same way, on both sides. So you may give advice, but ultimately it's that young person's choice who they're gonna date and how they want to handle that relationship. Only thing you have to move from I'm directing your life till I'm giving you advice to help guide you, but you're gonna do what you want to do with it. And that's hard. That is so hard as a parent to get to that place where I'm just like, only thing I can do is tell you some of the pitfalls that's in front of you or give you advice and hope you take it. Versus I said no, it'll stay in your room. You can't do that no more. But I have to also trust that I did a good job in raising you. And if I trust that I raised you right, even though you may slip up and sometimes choose the wrong people, ultimately you'll have enough courage or fortitude with something, within you to say, I need to get away from these people, or I need to get away from this person, or however you need, whatever it takes, because you've been raised the right way. And so that's, one of the things I think we have to do. That's the hardest part, I think, when you talk about parents and young adults, it's like letting go some of the reins. Oh, you can't hold that rein so tight. It's like, no, I gotta let this go. They're my child, but they're also an adult. But now, what I've been saying mostly is about some of the things that parents have to kind of get to and grow to and learn to do. One of the other things you have to understand is, young person, if you're not ready to leave your parents' house, then don't act like you run the house. Don't disrespect the rules because you think, well, I'm 21 now, or I'm this, or I got my own job and I got this. You may have a whole lot of stuff, but you ain't living on your own. And I think 90% of young people living outside of off on their own, and definitely the older you get, you realize that, man, I had it so much better when I was at home, living up with mom and dad. So when you ready to go pay all your bills and stand on your own, then you don't have to listen to nobody. You other than your landlord, but for the most part, you can do what you want. But if you're not ready to do that and you're gonna stay with your mom and dad, be respectful. Respect them, respect the rules, respect the house. Your mom,
I
your
feel like I'm
dad.
listening. I feel like I'm listening to all your greatest hits right now.
Hey,
This is crazy. I'm having flashbacks.
and as your sons get older, you're gonna have these same conversations with them. They may come in different forms, but you're gonna have these same conversations where you're gonna have to be like, yo, man, don't disrespect my house.
Facts.
Don't disrespect my house. Don't disrespect your mama. I don't never tell my kids don't disrespect me because they already know that can come with pain. But sometimes I had to remind them don't disrespect your mom because sometimes, especially as kids get older, they look at mom a little like she ain't gonna hurt me. But but at this but at the same time, you gotta understand there's levels to all of this. As a young adult, when you ain't if you ain't ready to leave this house, then you can't be pushing the button. You can't, oh, I don't like to clean up, so I ain't. No, when you get your own place, don't clean up and be nasty as you want to be. But in the house, your mama's house, in your daddy's house, they got a standard. Hopefully, they got a standard of how clean they want their house. So that means either you gonna keep it to their standard or you go find your own and build your own standard. But you can't have it both ways. You can't be saying, I'm an adult, I'm gonna do what I want to do in somebody else's house. You have to make a decision. And that's where I think, for me, it's always the same thing. Is like you grow and you develop and you have opportunities to do certain things, probably because of your parents. But then when you get to a certain level, it's like, well, I don't need nobody. I'm gonna do it all. Nobody does anything all on their own. I don't care who you are. Somebody, you always need somebody. You will always need someone. It's nothing wrong with needing people. I would rather have a need for my mother and father to guide me than for some other stranger that I can't really trust trying to guide me. But ultimately, somebody gonna be in your life trying to show you certain things. So hopefully you'll take the words from your parents and say, okay, I'm gonna have to clean up the common area, pick maybe vacuum my room every once in a while or sweep the floor, whatever the case may be, whatever they require in their home, I'm gonna have to keep that standard until I can get my own place and do what I want to do. So, those are the balancing acts, but you also have to learn to speak up for yourself as well. So now, if you're a young person and you feel that your parent is disrespectful or going too far into your business, whatever the case may be, or like I said, disrespectful the way I was to my son, I had to tell him and give him permission because he's, really, he's a nice guy. And so he's not going to just be like, dad, you gotta. So I gave him permission to tell me if I crossed the line. Your parent may not give you or tell you that you have permission, but you have permission to tell them or anybody else, hey, you being disrespectful. You don't do it in a nasty way. You don't do it in a disrespectful way because they still your parents. However, but you do have the right to say, Mom, Dad, you being disrespectful. You asking me, or you talking to me like I'm 12 or like I'm, some little helpless child. I'm a grown up now. I'm learning some things on my own. I ain't gonna do it all right, but I'm learning some things, and I need you to not disrespect me because I'm gonna respect you regardless. But I need you to not respect me, not disrespect me. And so you have to have that conversation with your parents. You have to be, if you want to be an adult, you got to have adult conversations. And adult conversations aren't always easy, but they are necessary. So make sure if your parent is still treating you like you can't do anything for yourself because you're some little kid, then one, have the conversation. But then two, you make sure you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Because you can't say I'm grown and then keep acting like you're a little kid too. You gotta, it gotta measure up. If you're grown, do grown up things. But then ultimately, if your parent can't adjust, and you may have to be saying, okay, as long as I'm here, I need to save up my money as quick as possible so I can get me my own place. And I may not have as much money or I may not be living as nice as they live, but I got my own place and it gives me a little bit of peace. But that's your choice. You won't have to decide that for yourself. But ultimately, you still have to have difficult conversations with your parents. Like I said, one of the things you always have to do, speak up for yourself, whether that's with your mom and dad, on your job, at school, wherever you are. You have to be your own advocate. Nobody knows what hurts you unless you tell them. No, most people don't even intend to disrespect you, but they don't know that they're being disrespectful. So you have to tell them. That's part of going into being an adult. But the problem is we walk around and we, especially, young men's like, yo, nobody better not disrespect me because I'm gonna do. People gonna disrespect you sometimes, and most of the time, not even on purpose. So you being disrespectful doesn't make people respect you more. How you handle disrespect will get you more respect than you ever thought. So if I go to my mom or my dad and I'm like, look, Dad, can we talk for a minute? And I just lay out, hey, this is what you're doing. This is how it makes me feel. This is what you're doing. You telling me to be a man, but then you treating me like I'm 12. You kind of contradicting yourself, and it's making me feel bad because I don't know. It's like I don't want to disrespect you, but I get, I'm taking as much as I can. And then you laying it at the feet of your dad or your mom, and it's like, yo, yeah. Ultimately, now they gotta grow up. They gotta step their game up and be like, yep, I can't do that to you. You deserve better. And again, I think for parents, if you raise your child right, you shouldn't have to disrespect them when they're adults. I ain't saying they're gonna do it all right. They're gonna mess up over and over again, just like you did. However, But if you put it in them and you help them and you're helping them grow, they'll also come back to you for more help and more advice because they know they got good advice the first time, even if they screwed it up. So you have to trust what you put in your child in order to see them bloom or and become the man or the woman that they're supposed to be in the long run. Can't stifle that. You can't beat it down because you're trying to keep them, in that cocoon where, oh, I got to take care of my baby. No, your baby got to grow, and ultimately your baby got to go. The parents got to understand the what they put into their child and how they've given their child the things they need to grow and not stymie that growth. But at the same time, like I said, it is that we have to work together. We work together while you're here in order for you to leave. And then when you leave, we're working together in order for you to continue to grow. I'm always going to be your dad. I'm always, your mom is always going to be your mom. So there's always going to be that. I'm going to instill certain things in you because no matter where you are in life, as long as I'm on this earth, I've been where you trying to get to. So I'm going to give you some advice, or I can give you advice that can help navigate that area a little bit smoother. So that's what I need to try to do as a parent. But I can't beat you down. I can't stifle your growth. I can't, force you to live the way I want you to live. If God gave you free will, then who am I to take that away? So therefore, your free will is your free will. But I can always give you advice and tell you and try to guide you into a different path. But ultimately, that's your choice. And so what I do is I'm going to guide you in the most loving way possible and not disrespectful. That's how we have to balance this thing. Again, I think parents, it's okay that your child is growing. They should be growing and developing, and they should at some point want to grow so they can go. However, if your home and everything is working where y'all say, "Hey, my child will stay here forever," and that's works for you guys, then that's great too. But if they're gonna be there, don't treat them like a baby. Treat them like an adult that's living in your home. And I think that'll help them also grow. And so that if by chance they decide they want to leave, they're prepared for that because no matter where they go, people are going to treat them like adults everywhere else. So why they got to be treated like, a 16-year-old in your house? So we got to be careful with that. But also do your job. Your job never ends as a parent. But at the same time, you have to understand that even though my job didn't end as far as it may have ended where I'm changing diapers, burping, buying sneakers, all that other stuff that they do through their childhood year, it's still needed that I help guide and shape them and give them advice. And then I trust that they're gonna do the best thing they can with that advice.
So
So
basically, you're saying you don't stop parenting, you just parent differently.
you never stop parenting, you parent different. And again, and the first taste you get of that is when your child becomes a young adult. That's when you first start changing. And see, and this is one of the things that parents and children make the mistake of is that if I've never had to go through raising a young adult, then what makes you think I'm any good at raising a young adult than you are at being a young adult? We both learning this thing, so we both have to give each other some grace. Don't hate me because I said something that made you feel little. Just like I'm not gonna hate you when you say something that was out of line that was kind of like, oh, you being a little too disrespectful in my house. I'm not gonna hate you for that. I'm gonna give you some grace. We got to give each other some grace because this is new for both of us in most cases. And even if I had an older child, it's still new for this one because your personality is different. Every child is different. So how I deal with one is not how I'm going to deal with the next one. But I have to figure out how to deal with that next one. How am I going to handle that child versus how I handle the other child? I can't be, I just need to know that I need to do it. I don't know necessarily how to until till we get to that child and his or her personality comes forward. And then I'll adjust. So again, we just got to, like I said, give each other some grace. Neither one of us is good at it. Parents, and sometimes they be like, "Oh, my child say, I'm not good at it." Well, hey, just like you ain't the best parent, your child ain't the best kid. They all, you screwed up. Hey, your parent job is try to correct them. That's all we trying to do, making sure you get on a better path. So with that, that is another episode, and I hope you a little bit with trying to navigate or even understanding that there is an issue, because sometimes we go through stuff and don't even realize, oh, that's what it is. Me and mom or me and dad ain't connecting because he still seeing me this way or she's still seeing me this way or I'm seeing them a certain way. So hopefully this opened your eyes a little bit to where you are in your relationship, even if you don't live at home. It's still a different dynamic because when you go visit your mom and you're an adult, mom and dad still looking at you, even though they talking to you like you're an adult, in reality, you still their baby. And so they, sometimes those conversations have to be, worked on. You have to figure it out. So hopefully this helped you a little bit as you try to figure those things out. Um, we are just, like I said, I'm speaking to you the same way I spoke to my children, same way I speak to my children, um, so that it's clear. And, you know, make a lot of mistakes, made a lot of mistakes with them, but at the same time, I didn't break them, they still held together. So, they didn't break me either. I ain't even fragile because of things that they did. We learn and we grow, and that's all we can do. So, again, thank you for tuning in. We will catch you again soon. We're gonna keep it on this relationship tip for another week or so. So we're gonna have another one talking about a relationship. I think this one might be a little fun. We're gonna talk about that dating relationship. So it'd be interesting to see where that
to the
goes.
romance.
Yeah, a little dating romance, and fellas, we gotta step a romance game up. So but yeah, we're gonna talk about that a little bit. So hopefully you tune in and you know, stay safe. And again, you check us out. All these different, what YouTube and all the other different.
Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
That's it. That's it. Do all that stuff, and we will get at you next time. So thanks again. Until we meet again. Peace.
In the studio with Rob. He is Rob.
Peace.